Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, fellow brothers and sisters around the world. We here at MahdiyyahUSA are back with another special episode of Eid al-Ghadeer podcast. Before we get started here, we'll do a quick dua for the Imam of the time. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma kunna waliyaka al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. Salawatuka alayhi wa ala aba'ih. Fi hadhihi as-sa'ati wa fi kulli sa'a. Waliyan wa hafidhan wa qa'idan wa nasiran wa dalilan wa 'ayna. Hatta tuskinahu ardaka taw'a. وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Today you have with us me, Brother Ali, Brother Mahdi, and Brother Farhan. To start off today, we're going to discuss a little bit more about the Ghadeer sermon. So a little bit about us, right? We're brothers from MahdiyyahUSA based out of Houston, Texas. We are a group of brothers with the guidance of the ulama within our community. And we host a lot of programs for the community, classes, and various big events and sessions like this. So before we get started with the Sermon of Ghadeer today, we want to truly understand the character of RasoolAllah. Because RasoolAllah is the one who is addressing the complete ummah about the important news that was brought down on this day, right? Oftentimes we hear about Eid al-Ghadeer, right? We hear the one statement, Man kuntum mawla fahadha alin mawla, right? But today we want to dive deep into the things that Rasulullah talked about. So before we dive into this, we want to talk a little bit about what Rasulullah's character is like. In order to understand that character, right, we should look at the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا لِرَحْمَةٍ لِلْعَالَمِينَ, right? Rasulullah was not sent except for a mercy for the people, right? Now Rasulullah, we all know the character of Rasulullah, right? Rasulullah has a very, he's a very soft-spoken individual. He was merciful even to his enemies, right? Despite how much oppression he had at the initial start of his mission. So, when we see Rasulullah gathering over 100,000 people, right, in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, in the desert.
Right, and you went to Umrah just recently.
Yeah.
So you know the climate, the heat, right? And this is Hajj season, like, right now. We can go outside, stand outside for 5 minutes, we'll be burning, right? But they were in the desert heat for this long, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a testament to the fact that, as you're stating, the Quran itself states that Prophet Muhammad was Rahmatul Alameen. He was the person that did the best for the people at all times. And putting them out in that setting of the desert, in Ghadeer Khumm, after performing their Hajj, which, of course, I haven't done Hajj personally, but I'm sure we've all heard the stories of how exhausting it is,
right?
How difficult of a task it can be. And then to put them all in the desert in that situation for multiple days, to then deliver this message, shows the urgency, the priority, the importance of this message of Ghadeer Khumm.
Right. And people listened to him because he was sadiq, right? He was Amin. I mean, people trusted him with their lives, with their amana, they would go on long trips, and was it Nest security system? It was Rasulullah was a security system. So they said, let's leave our things with him. Inshallah, we come back. So of course they had a lot of trust. Yeah. Okay, let's see what he has to say. So that build up, it wasn't just overnight. Yeah, everyone, let's go Hajj. No, it was a long time coming, right? Rasulullah planned this for a long, long time. So I think it's important to know that.
When Mahdi said, like when you're at Hajj, you're doing so many manasiks, right? There's so many rituals that we're doing, that we're involved in. They're very hard. You see oftentimes people come back from Hajj and they look like a completely different person.
Yeah,
they've lost weight, they've lost hair, right? It's very stressful.
Hajjis, yeah.
And Rasulullah stopped the people right at that center point of Ghadeer Khumm,
right,
which is where all the other caravans, they separate from, right? Yeah. So people going to Syria, Egypt, they'll separate from there. And that's where he held everyone, right? He told the people who were 8 hours ahead, come back, right?
Yep.
The people who were behind, catch up, right? And then he talked about the verse which was revealed on this day, which was, Brother Farhan?
Yeah, the verse that came at this time. Actually, before we get to what happened that day, you need to know, and we've already discussed this, we talk about it in classes and sessions, is that the Rasulullah didn't actually receive this message on that day. Like I said, it was a build-up. So it was actually on I believe the 6th day of Allah kind of conveying this idea that we need to make this grand announcement, right? And then Rasulullah waited 2 days actually before we have this verse that we always hear, right? Ya ayyuha Rasul, balligh. Right? So actually this isn't the time that it happened. It happened a little bit before that. Even in Mi'raj, we have the narrations from the Imam saying that this message is going to be important in the future. Right? So Rasulullah already knows. It's already in his brain that there's got to be a very particular, a very decisive and intentional way of conveying this message. And only then, when Allah changes his tone, right? Balligh, we already know it's fi'l amr, right? It's a command, right? It's not like, oh Habib, oh Yasin, oh Taha. No, this is a different tone, right? Than other verses that came down. So when Allah says in the Quran, it's Surah Ma'idah verse 67, right? Ya ayyuha rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbika. Oh my messenger, convey, right? Address, preach this message, right? Convey what has been revealed to you from your Lord. Revealed again. Now we're looking at Mazi, right? Past tense. It's already been there. Something that Allah, He already knew about.
Good point.
Now Allah is saying, now that what I told you, convey that. It's time now. And what was the second half of the verse? He says, وَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ فَمَا بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَتَهُ. And if you don't do this, then it's as if you haven't even conveyed anything at all. All the years of working so hard to get people's trust, to be Sadiq, to be Amin, not by himself. He didn't say, I'm Sadiq and Amin. People said, this guy is so trustworthy, we trust him with our lives. Right? So he worked really hard. The stoning, Imam Ali defending him, Dawat al-Allah. So many incidents we don't have time to discuss, but it was so important to know that RasoolAllah is very, very careful with this before he makes this announcement. That's why the verse came down 3 times.
Is it almost that we're seeing a hesitation of Rasulullah wanting to convey this message? Or why does this verse have to come down 3 times versus just 1 time?
Just the sheer fact that Prophet Muhammad himself knew the weight of what he was about to bring to the people, to tell the people this is the final message of Islam. And of course he had hesitancy because he knew there were enemies in the group. And out of the Hajis there were some enemies, munafiqs. And would they be able to handle this? Would they turn away from the Ahlul Bayt after Prophet Muhammad making such a clear message? Would they be able to handle the message of such importance? So he was hesitant, not about giving the message, but how the people would take it and what they would do with it once they know.
Right. Think about, I know this is an Islamic example, but think about a big company announcement, right? Does the CEO not get a little bit nervous, like, oh, maybe something can go wrong. Maybe we're not going to convey the message properly, right? Everyone gets, it's a big announcement, right? So important, this is Islam's product is vilayat, and right, this announcement of Imam Ali's mastership. So like every company has a product announcement, right? And they get a little nervous, like, oh, maybe we want to make sure we got everything right? Are the right people there? Is the marketing done right? Rasulullah is doing the same thing. His product though is the best product, right? And that's the announcement of mastership. So of course he has a little bit of hesitancy. Are people going to be able to take this the right way? He's being very calculative in his display of this message.
Okay, so this was the initial part. So we established the setting of Ghadeer Khumm, why Rasulullah stopped there, right? And why the fact that he didn't make this announcement at Hajj, right? The fact that it was very difficult there, right? Over here, people's attention was there, right? And this was this separation point. And then we established his character a little bit too. So with that, some of the points that we want to cover today about the Sermon of Ghadeer that are often not spoken about, right? We want to look at the virtues of Imam Ali that are spoken in the Sermon of Ghadeer by Rasulullah. And then we want to look at Imam Mahdi in that Sermon of Ghadeer, right? Because he's talked about extensively in that sermon.
Yeah, he's mentioned, right?
Yeah. Okay. And then as well as the rejectors, right? Mahdi said, some of the individuals Rasulullah he knew from the beginning of Islam they were with them. And he knew who those individuals were, right? To the point that I remember he would say he would even point them out, right? So we want to talk about these individuals.
I wish he did. I wish he did. It would make our lives easier.
And then once we negate, right, the fact that who these individuals are, right, and what their characteristics were, we want to look at the true followers of that wilaya, right? And then we'll get started with that with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajjil faraja.
So Ali, you mentioned the fazail of Imam Ali in the Ghadeer sermon, right? And I love reading the Ghadeer sermon just because you get fazail of Imam Ali by Prophet Muhammad. There's no better way for you to get it, right? And how does Prophet Muhammad do it? Through the Quran, right? And he brings that verse from Surah Yasin, وَكُلِّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. Famous verse from Yasin, we read it all the time. And he even goes on to explain this verse and what it means to be the Imam al Mubin, to be the clear Imam. And he tells the people, Imam Ali is that clear Imam, right? So I don't know, when I read it, it's so interesting that you're getting this fazail from Prophet Muhammad, and he's showing the people from the Quran, just that what the fazail of Imam Ali is and how it's already in the Quran for the people, and how so many instances in the Quran where Allah has already talked about Imam Ali.
Yeah, it reminds me that word ahsaynahu, right? The fact that, everything is enumerated, right? As in every quality which Rasulullah had, all the ilm which Rasulullah had, right? Is enumerated in Imam Ali, right? Like the hadith we all know, أنت مني بمنزلة هارون من موسى إلا أنه لا نبي بعدي, right? As in, your position to me is like the position of Harun was to Musa, his wazir,
Yeah.
right? His successor. In fact, I have the hadith, right? I was running into just a few days ago, which
Share
talks
with us.
about
Share with us.
this.
Share
He
with
has
us.
so many hadiths.
What you got? Share with
Right.
us.
So
Non-stop.
there's a hadith from RasoolAllah. He says, he talks to the people. He says, there is no knowledge except that the Lord has taught it to me and that I have taught it to Imam Ali
Imam
alayhi
Ali,
salam.
subhanallah.
And then he continues and he says, Allah has encompassed it with me and every knowledge that I have acquired, as in everything which was bestowed to Rasulullah, I have encompassed it within the leader of the Imam al-Muttaqeen, right? The Imam al-Mubin, right?
Ali Mawla.
Yeah. Nare Haidari.
Ya
Ali,
Ali.
ya.
And just to go off, I mean, the Fazail is so beautiful. So many hadiths that are Fazail of Imam Ali. And even this, the verse that he brings, that Prophet Muhammad brings about Surah Yasin, he even further explains, right? Imam al-Mubin. I thought maybe I should bring this up. I didn't plan to, but I think it would be good if we bring Prophet Muhammad's commentary, right? Because as he gives an ayat of Quran, he brings the tafsir. There's nothing more beautiful, nothing more beautiful than that, right?
Exactly.
And to all the people he's telling the tafsir, right? Where he says after Imam al-Mubin, فَهُوَ الَّذِينَ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْحَقِّ, right? For he is the one who guides to truth. So he's telling, who is Imam al-Mubin?
Yeah.
The person that guides you to truth.
Ahsan.
And we know that Imam Ali is the one that, if you're with Imam Ali, you're with
Haqqa Ali wa Ali al-Mahaq. I mean,
Ahsan.
it's a circular, right? And this is the most amazing thing about Rasulullah, not just giving the fadail of Imam Ali, but at the same time, giving the criteria of why he is the Imam, which is the absolute most perfect thing you can do because you're establishing his mastership, right? And that is essentially the virtue, the best fazilat of Imam Ali, is you've described the perfect person using the criteria from the Quran. And then we get asked, where is Imam Ali in the Quran? Right? And Rasulullah is saying, in the khutbah, he also mentions, Ana hadha siratul mustaqim, right? I am that straight path.
Yeah.
So if he's saying I'm that straight path, and every person after me who I choose as my successor will also be the straight path, then Imam Ali's in Fatiha, Imam Ali's in Allah, Imam Ali's in Surah An-Nas. He's everywhere, right? There's no doubt about it. So the virtues of Imam Ali being from the Quran, I mean, I'm so glad you mentioned that point. Right? It's so beautiful how Rasulullah used the Sermon of Ghadeer to not just convey the message, but also at the same time, he essentially did the template of a majlis, which is just Ali Ali, right? And that's all you need. Because once you establish that criteria, then you get your akhlaq, you get your tawheed, you get your adl, you get your knowledge of nabuwat and imamat and ma'ad and imams and all the things we're going to talk about today. But it's just amazing. It's just amazing, So
I think that even the other Fazal point that I was thinking about beforehand was how Prophet Muhammad gives the title of Ameerul Momineen to Imam Ali, right? This in itself is a Fazal because Commander of the Faithful, that's such a heavy title. And he says in the sermon himself, Prophet Muhammad is telling the people, where he says, Allah innahu laysa Ameerul Momineen ghayra akhi haza. Right? Where indeed there is no commander of the faithful after me except this brother of mine.
He's pointing. He's pointing
Haza,
at this. Right? So everyone is seeing.
Exactly.
No confusion.
So, I mean, what a moment to be in where Prophet Muhammad is telling the people, this is Ameerul Momineen. Right? The Fazal in this sermon is numerous. And to get it from Prophet Muhammad's perspective in words makes it even better. We have so much fun in a majlis. Such a good time listening to a Maulana or a Zakir giving Fazal, but imagine if you're with Prophet Muhammad and saying that.
Key point on this, right? The title of Ameerul Momineen itself. Right? This title is limited to only Imam Ali. Why? Because I ran into it. I briefly remember a hadith I ran into recently.
Was it the Imam Sadiq?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
An individual comes to Imam Sadiq and addresses him as Ameerul Momineen. Right? And Imam Sadiq gets very stern with him.
Right.
He tells him, if you knew where Imam Ali alayhi salam received this title, you would not call me with this.
Wow.
And what was he referring to? He was referring to that realm prior to this realm. Right? We talked so much in Imamat about the fact that, Imamat is something which comes before creation itself. Right? In that realm, Alim al-Zar is when Imam Ali received that title. And Rasulullah over in Ghadeer is just reminding the people, right? Something which is already within their innate nature.
There's an amazing hadith from Imam Bakr alayhi salam where he says that Inna Aliyan ayat Ali Muhammad. And Imam Ali is a sign for Prophet Muhammad. If you just think about it, there's so much, you can talk about this. What did the Maulana say, man? You can read a whole ashra on this is one excerpt. It's so amazing. Imam Ali being a sign for Prophet Muhammad. But then the hadith doesn't end. It actually, I have it here. It says, وَإِنَّ مُحَمَّدًا يَدْعُو إِلَى وِلَايَةِ Ali. And the Muhammad calls to the wilayah of Ali. So it's not just saying that Imam Ali is a sign for Prophet Muhammad, but it's also saying that Prophet Muhammad is going to call you to that wilayah. So it's just a beautiful way, a beautiful system that Allah has implemented, and He made sure it's soundproof, completely sealed. Like, it's so good. I don't even know how. I'm losing words here because the only Rasulullah can speak so eloquently about something like this, or the other Imams. So
right, so
it's just
that call to wilayah.
So neatly.
Right? What do you think encompasses that wilayah? Right?
Yeah, vilayat is a heavy topic, but of course, Prophet Muhammad has laid the grounds for what vilayat is. Someone who's a guiding Imam, who leads that Imam al Mubin, the clear path, the guiding Imam, the one who knows truth, right? So automatically, vilayat is believing in these attributes, these aspects of the Imam, and following him in those.
Yeah. It's like criteria.
Yeah.
Right? He's describing the characteristics.
And we know this wilayah is ultimately Rasulullah not giving it to him, right? This is the wilayah from the side of Allah.
Yeah.
Right? We have that verse from the Quran, right? Innama waliyakumullah, right? Who is your wali? Allah is your wali. Only Allah is your wali.
Innama, yeah.
Wa
Rasuluhu,
right? And his messenger. Wa
ulil amri minkum.
ulil amri minkum, right? The one who are vested with authority.
Yeah, and then you have to also remember when we're talking about the Vilayat of Imam Ali, Rasulullah in the sermon actually went further and elaborated on the imamat and the mastership of the other A'immah. So he mentioned Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, and the same criteria applies. Mansus min Allah.
Right.
Right? There's no questions, if, ands, or buts, because if they're from the side of Allah, then Allah is not going to change his mind or have an election or any of these other ways to get to who we're supposed to follow. Mansus min Allah, as in chosen from the side of Allah. Right? And so that's the best way to describe it. And Rasulullah did mention the other A'immah. I know, like you said, these are less discussed topics in the Sermon of Ghadeer, but Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain were there. Right? And he says, you have the first, I'm not only giving you the Khalifa after me, but the next two. You got a head start. So, and then he of course elaborated further, and he mentioned that the ninth of them from the son of Hussein will be Imam al-Zaman, of course. But he established what to look for. He established, what the people, after expecting the expectations from Imam Ali, what the next expectation will be. And that just makes it very clear. So there should be no doubt about who's after him.
Yeah, so when we come to the topic of rejectors, I'm very excited to talk about that because everything is established here, right? The grounds and everyone has followed Rasulullah since the mission in Makkah all the way to Medina, right? And now people are why do you think like that verse you started off with, like balligh, right? Balligh.
Yeah, no, it's good that I'm glad you mentioned it again, because it's important to clarify that this is the most important message, right? It's not just for Imam Ali, it's ta Qiyamah, right? It's until the day of judgment. So I know we already did mention it, you're right. But to reiterate it again, I don't think there's an issue, because this is the most important thing that we have.
Right.
This is the reason for Karbala. This is the reason we have Azadari. This is the reason we have any of religion, right? Is because Balligh, Allah's sternness and Allah's commanding way of speaking has caused us, alhamdulillah, to say alhamdulillah alladhi ja'alana min al-mutamassakin, right? Because of Allah, right? We're in His service. We're abd Allah, right? So I think to say that Balligh is not focused on, and I definitely think it's an important highlight in the Sermon of Ghadeer, and an important verse as well in the Quran. So, but yeah, like to mention the other Imams, and before we even get into the subject of Imam al-Zaman, I think we need to kind of gather ourselves again with another salawat. What do you say?
Right, and the interesting thing is that we even have a portion where Prophet Muhammad is going to say in the sermon, all of the Imams, and of course leading to Imam al-Zaman, right? Because he says right here, Ana sirat al-mustaqim, I am the straight path of Allah. Amarukum bihi, right? Where he says, which he has commanded you to follow. Thumma Ali min ba'di, and after me is Imam Ali alayhi salam. And thumma walida min sulbi a'immati. And then he goes on and says, and after him are my sons from his lineage, right? Okay. So he's already telling the people about not only the vilayat of Imam Ali, but how that carries to the rest of the Imams.
Right.
And eventually we know that leads with the 12th Imam, Imam al-Zaman.
Of course.
And within this sermon, I think obviously we have all the fazail, which is amazing to hear, we don't always get, but you get something that is even more amazing to be mentioned is Imam al-Zaman's name, all the way in Prophet Muhammad's time.
The seal of the messengers is presenting the seal of the Imams.
Yeah, exactly. I actually have the hadith that you talked about. It was Allah inna khatamul a'immata minna al Mahdi, as in know that the seal of the leaders from among us shall be the Mahdi. Allah innahu zahiru ala dini, as in he shall be most certainly prevail over all religious methods of life. There won't be any factions, no sects anymore. It'll all just be Imam al-Zaman. It'll all be vilayat, which is going to be the most amazing thing. And then, there's a lengthy one, but I'm just going to share maybe one more. It says, Allah innahul muntaqimu mina zalimin, and he shall definitely be the avenger against the oppressors.
Subhanallah.
Zalimin.
And even the fact that, so this just shows the superiority, I mean, the position of the 12th Imam,
exactly.
Imam Islam. That
Exactly.
if Prophet Muhammad is telling the people at Ghadeer his qualities,
Right.
what Imam Islam is going to do,
Yeah.
I mean.
He's really telling us.
He's telling
I mean,
us.
he's like,
You're right. You're right.
No,
It's a
people-
timeless statement.
Right. In the time of Ghadeer, people were probably like, who is this person that he's referring to?
Yeah.
But now we know that he's definitely talking about our own Imam, the one that's,
Subhanallah.
living in our current era. So it's just amazing.
So this is the reason why we see, the verse from Surah Ma'idah, verse number 3, right, where it says, "Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa razitu lakum Islam deena." Right, as in this is the day that your deen has been completed for you.
Right.
Right, because from A to Z, you said, if we started from RasoolAllah, the seal of the prophets, to the seal of the Imams, right?
Yeah.
And this is the same deen that Allah is razi with,
Right.
right? That He has accepted.
Yeah.
And this is the same deen that will rise when Imam Zaman comes.
Yeah.
Right? And that last verse, that last point in that hadith from the sermon, right? Where it
Yeah.
talks about
Zalimin.
Zalimeen,
Right.
right? As in he is going to be the one who rises against these oppressors.
Right.
And this is where we want to get into the topic of the rejectors, right?
Yeah.
The individuals who rejected this message. So within this topic, we see two types of rejectors, right? We see one of the people who were one type of person who was rejecting internally and rejecting externally,
Openly, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Openly. And I know you told me about that one story of that individual who rejected openly.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say the story. It's actually in the Quran. Allah said the story, right? It was, I have it here. It was the, what was his name?
Haris bin Numan.
Haris bin Numan, right? And he actually challenged Allah when he said, "Sa'ala sa'ilun bi'adhabin waqi'in," as in a questioner asked concerning a punishment bound to happen. He's challenging Allah, right? And then the rest of the verse, it's in Surah Ma'arij, it's three verses. "Upon the disbelievers, none can repel it, coming from Allah, owner of the ascending steps." So here, this is when the verse was revealed. When Allah was directly challenged, He instantly, within Sari'ur Hisab, right, we say, He instantly sent down the punishment, and the pebble or boulder, we don't know, do we know the size?
Stone,
yeah. I hope it was a boulder so everyone could see, But the rock came down and crushed him, and instantly he died. So, like you said, someone who's very externally rejecting, Allah's not always going to punish like that, right? Maybe there's a punishment for him in the afterlife for something like that. But this was a message. This was a way for Allah to show that the importance of this announcement, and rejecting it is going to have some consequences.
Right.
And this is one of them. This is just to show you, be careful about rejecting the message. And yeah, it's in the Quran. I mean, we believe in it wholeheartedly, with that this is something from the side of Allah, right?
Yeah,
It's not something that we just made
we
up.
see even within the sermon, right? He says, right, these rejectors, if I wanted, I could point you guys out,
Yeah.
right? So these same individuals who decided to usurp the position of Ameerul Momineen
Right.
after the passing of Rasulullah, these same individuals were the same people who ran up first for Bayah. When he's talking about rejectors, we want everyone to see that, we're not the rejectors.
not
So
the
they were
ones.
the first ones up there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Hypocrites
because
from
of
the beginning, hypocrites
hypocrites,
to the
exactly.
end.
Exactly.
right?
So I think the topic you mentioned in the beginning, not even the topic, the foundation that you laid out in the beginning was that Rasulullah was this perfect character. He was sadiq, he was ameen, he was the best example of akhlaq. And to say that these rejectors are in a way doing like a character assassination of Rasulullah, because they all came to Ghadeer and they said, you know what, after everything you've done for us, forget about it. Right? Because if Allah is saying, if you haven't delivered this message, you haven't done anything, and then you can, I'm saying it on my own words, then if you reject the message, it's like you haven't accepted anything, right?
true.
To an extent.
Yeah.
So what they've actually done here is by rejecting that message, they've actually assassinated the character of Rasulullah. They've lowered his status just by saying, we don't believe in what he said. Although it's in Sunni hadith, it's in Shia hadith, to say that they don't believe in it or they don't accept it to be true, when 120,000 other Hajis, when it's hot, maybe the sun cooked their brain for too long, I don't know.
Not only that, they saw the punishment given to Haris.
Exactly.
Live punishment given, and they still rejected in their hearts.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just surprising to me that
it's
they
shocking.
existed. Yeah.
That means ever since the beginning of this message, beginning of the mission of Rasulullah, their hearts were diseased.
Oh yeah.
They never accepted it.
Yeah.
They just had a mask on the entire time.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Only to betray the Prophet
Yeah.
right after passing.
And then, I mean, obviously the transgressions continued, right? I mean, I know you were mentioning about the class the other day, the trials on, say, the Fatima. So I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit. But
I mean, all of this, the rejection of Vilayat, the rejection of Prophet Muhammad, even as a prophet, which was from the beginning in their hearts, it all transpires into all the events that happened after Ghadeer, the attack on Imam Ali's house, the taking of Fadak, the Shahadat of Bibi Fatima. Of course, then you get into the killing and the Shahadat of all of the Imams, right? And there's even a point when they ask Imam Hussain in the day of Karbala, Imam Hussain says, what is your reason for this? And they say, bughz of your father, bughz of Ali, right? So from the beginning, it was the hatred of Imam Ali. It started here, right? And it even started in the past, in all the different battles that Imam Ali was the victor in. And they had hatred from then on, and they carried it with them. And of course, when you deny that message of Vilayat, you become a Nasibi, and you carry that in your heart.
Carried in your lineage even sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It's a disease that just goes on through generations. And that's why RasoolAllah mentioned that Imam Zaman will be the one who's going to do away with the Zalimeen, right? So it wasn't rejectors from just that one time. They became oppressors, and through the generations. And when they all are, assembled in one field, right? Then Imam Zaman is going to come and say, we're going to be rid of them, right? And all the injustices in the world, of course, but the oppressors themselves, who are not only doing oppression to, the innocent, but oppression against the Ahlul Bayt, which is the biggest oppression.
Their time is limited, right? Rasulullah is saying it's not going to be eternal that you'll have power.
Right.
There
Exactly.
will come a time when the Mahdi comes and all the revenge will be taken, right?
Yeah.
You'll avenge all the Zalimeen.
Yeah.
I think, just talking about the rejectors, all the events that transpire after Ghadeer, it brings us into what did post-Ghadeer really look like? After Ghadeer Khumm happens, how is there so much deviation in the religion? How, as you mentioned, a character assassination on the Holy Prophet.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of insane because for 3 days these people were told to give bayat, to the point where even the woman had to go give bayat in the bucket of water. Imam Ali put his hand in the water. They gave their bayat. Everyone had the opportunity to give their bayat publicly. But yet you have so much deviation
3 days
in the religion.
Yeah.
Right?
We go on Arba'in August 3 days and we don't forget that. I mean, it's insane to me that they forget. So,
it shocks me a little bit, because, the way these rejectors, right, these Zalimeen, they're able to manipulate the religion, right?
Yeah.
The banning of hadith, right? Aside from all the transgressions, they just destroyed the learning system of Islam, right?
Yeah.
They took that away to the point when Imam Ali had reached Shahadat on the Musalla. What did the people in Kufa say?
He reads namaz.
He reads namaz?
what was he doing in the masjid?
Yeah, what was he doing in the masjid? That's what he said.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So they completely corrupted this deen.
They twisted it.
Yeah.
And of course, if you attack the hadith, you ban hadith, you're leaving the people in disarray, right? They're not getting those true words of the Prophet that we ourselves, today we're reading the Sermon of Ghadeer. We're lucky to have these words of the Prophet, of the Ayyamah, right? And back then, right after Prophet Muhammad's Shahadat, they were not even given the opportunity to see those words again.
They were Hazbuna Kitabullah.
The book is enough.
The book is enough.
If you look at every big society, every big civilization, and I'm talking in the inverse here now, they always attacked knowledge. They always went and burned the books and the libraries, and they were successful. All these oppressive governments and kings and empires became successful because they didn't go after, other kings and other rulers and soldiers. No, they went after libraries and books and history, and they just said, you know what, get rid of it all. Not destroy the society. They let the society live on, but they said destroy what they had. And of course, these people try to do the same. And I think that's why in today's era, it's, the 21st century now, it's been, Imam Zaman is, 1,193 now. He's lived, and he's seen George Washington, he's seen Steve Jobs make the iPhone, he's seen it all, right? He was there when Martin Luther King was marching, and he's seen, the Roman Empire, he's seen it all, right? So he knows what oppression looks like, right? This is not the first time. Everyone wants to come up and say, now is the time. No, he's seen all the time. So there's no way for us to know that. The only way to know that we're in the time of Imam Zaman and to be his true follower is to actually be the true follower of Imam Ali first, right? And that's like the very first step in understanding the Sermon of Ghadeer. To get to Imam Zaman, you have to get to Imam Ali first.
Awwaluna Muhammad, akhiruna Muhammad.
Right? Exactly. And I think that's like the key point from today's discussion. It was a lot of things that we're discussing, but following Imam Zaman, using Ghadeer. And I know you had brought some hadiths. I don't know if you're going to share those too, but there's some really good connection that we can make between making sure that we have a good understanding of the criteria of imamat and all the Imams, and then being able to connect it, like Mehdi was saying, to Imam al-Zaman, Khatamun Nabiyyin to Khatamul Aimma, right?
So if you want to examine that, how do you become a follower of Imam al-Zaman? We want to see what were the qualities of being a follower of Imam Ali
first,
right?
yeah.
And of course, we have amazing examples. You have Salman, Miqdad, Abu Zar,
Yeah.
great companions that showed their utmost, willingness to be with Imam Ali in any occasion, such determination.
Right.
And there is this one hadith from Imam Ali himself where they ask him about that one sect that is the true followers of the Imam, the true followers of Vilayat, and what does that look like? And Imam Ali himself says, it's a long hadith, and just to summarize a portion of it, right, he says that it is those people that are submissive to my orders. They're obedient to me, and they are disavowing verbally from my enemies. 3 easy qualities.
Yeah.
Easy for me to say, hard to maybe
hard to execute.
put in action and execute.
Yeah.
But the Imam lays out 3 foundations that you need to have: to be submissive to his words, to be obedient, and to stay far away, verbally even. He goes on to say, verbally be far away from my enemies. Right? So these are just some of the qualities that Imam Ali gives for himself.
Yeah,
what it means to be his follower.
This relates to that, that one hadith that, I was very shocked to read this. Because with the, RasoolAllah says that, his ummah will divide up into 73 sects? 73 sects. But only that one sect, 12 sects will claim to follow Imam Ali alayhi salam. But that one sect will be the sect that will be righteous, and that will be granted Jannah. And that will be that sect.
That will be the sect.
Can you repeat those 3 qualities? Those are key.
Imam says that the following me are the people that are submissive to my orders. 1, obedient to me in disavowing verbally from my enemies. And then he goes on to say that those are the same ones that recognize my rights. So they have marifat, they have recognition of the Imam. And I know we talk about that word marifat a lot of times when we sit down, because truly to be a follower of the Imam, you have to understand the Imam, understand his words. And you can't be a follower if you don't know what the Imam wants from you, what you're supposed to do for the Imam, what it means to actually be obedient to his words. Right? And
I'm glad you brought up the companions of the Imam, though, because even they are such a great example. I know in class you mentioned the other day that Hazrat Salman would start doing things without instruction from Imam Ali. Not because Imam Ali gave the instruction, but because he knew him so well that he would start running around and doing things for him. And the people would be like, why is this guy always running around? Right? It's because he had so much marifat, so much recognition of what the Imam wants, that he would do those things without even being asked. Right? And I mean, unfortunately, I'm talking about myself, like we're still here struggling with our parents saying, go clean your room and do this and do that. Without instruction, they were able to follow their orders. So I think, this is a akhlaqi topic as well, right? To be able to follow orders with such determination and, like you said, enthusiasm even, that not just like, I'll do it, right? Really getting in there and doing it to 110%. And I use 110 for a reason, because it's Imam Ali's number, right? Giving that 100%. And if you apply that same enthusiasm, that determination to, like you were saying, Imam al-Zaman, then you can for sure be his follower. The goal is to, inshallah.
And to get to that position, you have to have that submission, right? Like you mentioned, submission to the Ahlul Bayt.
Exactly.
In this day and age, submission to the words of the Ahlul Bayt. Right? And this is really key when it comes to ma'rifat, right? Because sometimes, right, we read a little, like 1 or 2 hadiths, and we think we have ma'rifat. Right? We think we have recognized the Imam when he comes. I'm first in line.
Yep,
right?
there you go.
3 first in line. Ready to go. Right? But it's deeper than that, right? To have ma'rifat is to look at the hadith and truly submit, as in a way that you don't apply your own preconceived notions to that hadith. Right? That's someone who can truly submit to the hadith. Right? If there's something in that hadith that does not align with what I'm thinking, or something that I have built a preconceived notion about, I should destroy that preconceived notion.
What is the hadith from Imam Raza? فَإِنَّ النَّاسَ لَوْ عَلِمُوا مَحَاسِنَ كَلَامِنَا لَاتَّبِعُونَا. If the people knew the beauty of our words and our traditions, they would surely have followed us. Just like we're spending so much, we're actually going really quickly through maybe 20, 30 hadiths. But if you spend time just extracting and analyzing each and every hadith, the Imams themselves says our words can be studied 70 times over, right? Imagine studying something 70 times and there's still new information. Even 10 times and there's new information. So for the Imam to say these beautiful words, لَاتَّبِعُونَا, then they would surely have followed us. It shouldn't be any surprise to us that those words were given to us, and we're trying, but we're not able to follow.
But when this day and age, right, when you see this mass spread of information, right, various sects popping up left and right about, we're the followers of Imam al-Zaman, everyone knows, everyone's seen social media, what's happening nowadays in this day and age, right? The one short hadith which encompasses all of it is لا تأخذ إِلَّا أَنَّا تَكُنْ مِنَّا. Right? As in, don't take from anyone else but us and be from amongst us.
Right.
SubhanAllah.
Minna Ahlul Bayt. That's
Minna
easy.
Ahlul Bayt,
Yeah.
right? Salman, Minna
Minna
Ahlul
Ahlul
Bayt.
Bayt. Yeah, Imam
Right?
Sajjad. Yeah. I think sums up the answer pretty well. There's a hadith from I think it was Imam Bakr, which said لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ أَسَاسُ وَأَسَاسُ الْإِسْلَامُ حُبُّنَا أَهْلُ الْبَيْتِ. That for everything there's a foundation. And the foundation of Islam is the love for Ahlul
Love
Bayt.
for Ahlul Bayt.
So of
SubhanAllah.
course the love for Imam Zaman has to be there. And a lot of times, like you were saying, we get excited for, having an extra day off on Labor Day and Memorial Day and Christmas and July 4th, all these things. But we don't get excited for 14th Shaban night and then that 15th day. And even that 12th night of Rajab, where we're supposed to have more excitement for the Imam than anything else in the world, but we just don't have that love. We say we do, but we don't really have that love. And that's what the Imam is trying to say here exactly, is that foundation is establishing yourself on the love of Ahlul Bayt and the love of the Imams. So I think that's one of the crucial points too.
And I've had a lot of conversations with students from class and other brothers where they say, well, how do you show your love to the Imam? Like, one way is, of course, when you go to Majlis, you have Azadari, you have the Messiah. From the love of the Ahlul Bayt, when you hear the Messiah, you cry.
Right.
And but other brothers have always asked, and I think it's a question that we see often: how do you show love to an Imam, especially an Imam that
You can't
we
see,
can't see,
interact with,
right? That
you're
we can't interact with.
Right.
And one of the things that I've always told, even the kids in the kids class, these are 9-year-olds. Say a salawat for the Imam, give sadaqah in the Imam's name, talk to him, say assalamu alaikum to him. Right, all these things, you thinking about the safety of Imam is you having love for him.
Right.
Just like when my mom texts me,
Where
did
are
you
you?
land? Yeah, where are you? Why are you out so late? That's her love. That's her showing love to me.
Right.
Worrying about my safety, about where I am. Same way, Imam Zaman, pray for Imam Zaman's safety, his health, right, for his success.
Harrik shafatayn, right? Imam Ali said, just move your lips to the companion that was concerned, how do I do it? So yeah, excellent point.
Yeah, that bayat, that everyone, that we wish, we were there at Ghadeer.
Yeah.
Right, regardless of how hot we were. Inshallah, we would have survived. But, like that bayat that they got to make there in front of Imam Ali alayhi salam, right? Sometimes you want to do that with Imam Mahdi. Right? One of the best ways we can do that is right when we wake up, right? Like you said, say salam to the Imam, right? But the Imams have given us dua ahad.
Dua ahad, yeah.
Right? One of the most beautiful dua, very small, simple, 3-minute dua.
Yeah.
Right? But it has so much meaning to it. Right? When we wake up in the morning right after Fajr, we read dua ahad. We're making that same bayat to Imam Mahdi. And that's also going to Imam Ali alayhi salam.
Right.
So that's one
Yeah,
point.
you're right. Maybe we didn't have the opportunity to be at Ghadeer, but we have this opportunity every day to
Every
give
morning,
bayat to Imam Zaman. Yeah, nothing more beautiful than that.
I mean, I think these are all really good topics. I don't know if there's more we can say to that, because commitment and supplication, rabita, love, these are all aspects that apply to all the Imams, of course. But having it apply to Imam Zaman and then being able to act on it, that's tawfiq. That's Allah giving us the opportunity. And that's the same, I'm trying to tie it back into the first line you said in the dua is, Alhamdulillah alladhi ja'alana min al-mutamassikin. Bi vilayati Ameerul Momineen wal a'immati alayhim salam. So us, Allah, of course, we're so grateful, we're appreciative, and there's nothing that we can say or do that can be enough thanks to Allah that He's given us the opportunity to even have recognition, marifat, to be able to sit down here and have discussion on these beautiful gems of the Ahlul Bayt, these traditions and hadiths. So
yeah, I mean, one point to add in there, right? There's love for the Imam, there's bayat to the Imam, but one of the most, almost I would say, more important point than love, the second point that Mahdi had said, right? Bughz, hatred towards the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt.
Right.
This is, I would say, almost a prerequisite to love of the Ahlul Bayt.
Yeah.
Of course.
What is that hadith from Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam, which says, "Hala ad-din illa al-hubbu wal-bughz." Right? Is deen anything else but
love and hate?
Love and hate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you can't love someone if you like their enemies too. Very simple. I mean, that's the whole basis of our La ilaha illallah. You start with negation.
Yeah.
So if you want to love the Imams, you have to start with hating their enemies.
Right.
In this day and time, I mean, we Prophet Muhammad knew who as you mentioned in the rejectors part, Prophet Muhammad knew the enemies were there. Right? Imam Ali knew the enemies were there. They were hypocrites, munafiqs, whether they were open about it, whether they were concealed about it. Prophet Muhammad made it clear that those who disbelieve are kafir.
Yeah.
Right? And that's it. So you have to hate them. And that's how you develop that love.
All right, so with establishment of love and hate, right? Now there's also another point of love, right? When we love our parents, right, we want to serve them, right?
Yeah.
We want to take care of them, and we want to do things for them, right? And ultimately, right, the hadith from Imam Rida alayhi salam, what was the hadith that you were saying? The Imam is like a compassionate brother, right? Or he's a loving mother to her infant child, right? So similar to that, we have that relationship, that father-son relationship with Imam al-Zaman, right? So how do we serve Imam al-Zaman? Right? Because the Quran says, right? تَنْصُرُ اللَّهِ وَيَنْصُرُكُمْ وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَكُمْ. Right? Help Allah, right?
Yeah.
Help me. Right? How do we help Allah? We help the vicegerent of Allah. We help Imam al-Zaman.
Right.
And Allah will make our feet firm in our efforts. Right? What are some ways, some things that we could do on a day-to-day basis, right? Like for instance, we're gathering here talking about the hadith of the Ahlul Bayt. This is already one way of,
of course.
Small effort.
And living the affairs of the Ahlul Bayt, which the hadith says, Ahya amrana, right? And
how do we live in your affairs?
This is one of the ways of serving the Ahlul Bayt. How else can we serve the Ahlul Bayt?
I mean, I think simply, today we took the time to really analyze the Ghadeer sermon, which is about the Holy Prophet and Imam Ali. In today's day and age, we have our living Imam, Imam al-Zaman. I think it's as simple as how much, if you were to, in my own words, if I'm thinking about myself, how much do I really know about my Imam, my living Imam, right? And have I done my due diligence? Have I given enough effort, like Salman did to Imam Ali, to be as close with his Imam? Am I doing the same thing with Imam al-Zaman? And maybe it's, we're reading these hadiths of the Holy Prophet and Imam Ali. We should take time, at least a little bit every day to learn a little bit about our own Imam, about Imam al-Zaman, read about Imam al-Zaman, read the hadith about Imam al-Zaman, his qualities, what his expectations are from us. And that's how you can become, again, a true follower.
Right, our ulama have done a huge ordeal in going through the hadiths, right, where they comprehended the hadiths and made this simple for us.
Yeah.
They've spoon-fed us.
They've already made the books.
The book of Mikyal al-Makarim, right? Which lists 80 responsibilities, right, that the Shias should have a duty on their neck during the time of the ghaibat to follow, right?
Kamaluddin, Sheikh Sadduq, books all about Imam al-Zaman.
Right.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, as we know, Ghadeer is the exact perfect transition into Muharram, because you go in with, I have this vilayat, this connection to Imam al-Zaman and Imam Ali, of course, but then you connect that to when you sit down, you have 1 hour to learn every single day about the Imams, right? Alhamdulillah, there's also, of course, the Masa'ib and the Musibah of Imam Hussain, which we mentioned as part of the ibadah, right? But to make the ibadah even more elevated, we sit there and we listen and we try to find these gems of hadith. So I think, especially super easy, and alhamdulillah, most people do it, is to sit in the majalis and, it maybe seem awkward at first, but take out your phone, maybe note down a hadith or two.
Yeah.
If you listen for 2 months and 8, you have 60 hadiths, right? 67, just right there. And that's one. If Maulana is going, really at an accelerated level and he says 3, 4 hadiths and you know what those are, you can do more. But I think one easy way to do that, especially with this upcoming month, is, take your phone out and write a hadith down, That's also a good way to know if the speaker is speaking from Quran and Ahlul Bayt, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times you have these, scholars that come in with, interesting topics and things like that we want to listen to maybe, but they're not from the Ahlul Bayt, right? And you said, any knowledge that comes should come from the Ahlul Bayt. Yeah. So when you hear Qala Sadiq, Qala Baqir, Qala Rida, right, note it down. And you'll have, 30, 40 hadiths at least at the end of the Ayyam. So that's one other way you can prep.
I think another point that I was just, as Farhan, as you were talking about that, in Majalis, as you mentioned, we hear these stories, the hadiths about the Ahlul Bayt, different moments of their life. I think one aspect is you have to think about, I listen to these and I kind of digest it myself and think, am I emulating this Imam that's being spoken about? Am I living up to the standard that it means to be a follower of the Imam?
Right.
We hear what the Imams have done, how they acted. You mentioned Prophet Muhammad, his characteristics, his akhlaq. Are we living up to that? Right? And that's truly following the Imam if you're doing what he's taught us.
And that reminds me of that hadith, although our Imam is in occultation, right? The hadith says nothing has put a barrier between us and our Imam al-Zaman, other than our own sins. Right? Yeah. So, like you said, right? Are we living up to the expectations of our Imam? Right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, the Imam is not, depending on the other sects. Yeah. He has this one sect, Shi'an Ali.
Yeah, the Ghadeeri sect.
The Ghadeeri sect, right? Who he's depending on. Yeah. Now, if we let him down, right?
Exactly.
That's going to hurt him.
Yeah.
Right?
And the bar is high, right? Because, being a follower of Imam Ali, being a follower of Imam al-Zaman, obviously it's no easy task. And the bar is high, and the expectations are high from the Imams themselves.
Who were the people that came to Imam Hassan al-Islam and they said, we're your Shia? And Imam Hassan said, no, you're not. And he said, no, then what are we? He said, you're just my muhib. You love me. Yeah. So, alhamdulillah, at least we're in the category of muhib. Inshallah, we do dua that we're in the category of mu'min and followers, of course. So,
inshallah. With that.
One more point, Ali, just because you mentioned the very beginning, Eid al-Akbar, right? Greatest Eid. We mentioned a little bit, I think Farhan, you mentioned how it was 3 days where the people gave bayat.
Right.
Right? Eid al-Akbar, biggest Eid. It transcends all other Eids. It was 3 days where people gave bayat. For us, it could be 3 days of celebration, 3 days of happiness, right? Celebrate this Eid like it is what it's supposed to be, right?
Exactly.
Celebrate it with, for our birthdays, we go out and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's Imam Ali's vilayat. Celebrate it to its wholeheartedness.
Give
right?
gifts, you know.
And
eat
we have to
sweets.
understand, right? This is not an Eid that's, just that we, Alhamdulillah, الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين أمير المؤمنين وأئمة الأطهار, right? There's not there's not an Eid that only we are celebrating. This is an Eid which the prophets celebrated.
Yeah.
From Adam to Khatam, right?
Yeah.
Right? All the Ulul Azm prophets, before even coming, right? They celebrated this Eid. So this is an Eid that we should, not slack behind on.
Inshallah, we get more opportunity every year to celebrate this Eid every year.
Inshallah, also, inshallah, next year, we are able to celebrate this Eid on the next level with Imam Zaman himself. Inshallah, we pray for his relief, right? With a dua. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma kun waliyaka al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجل فرجهم.